Welcome to the Vigg Archive. Today we're diving into socialism, what it is, where it comes from, and how it shows up in the world today. If you find this helpful, please hit like and subscribe so you won't miss what's coming next.
Welcome everyone. Today we're exploring one of the most discussed and often misunderstood economic and political ideas in the modern world, socialism. The word socialism is used frequently in political debates, but it doesn't always mean the same thing to everyone. Some people see it as a path to greater fairness and opportunity. Others believe it limits economic freedom and innovation. In this presentation, we'll look at what socialism actually is and where it comes from and how it's been practiced in different countries, and major arguments for both and for against it. The goal isn't to tell you what to believe, but to provide you with context so you can make up your own mind. At its core, socialism is an economic and political philosophy that argues society should have greater collective or public control over certain resources, industries, or services. Supporters generally believe that markets alone don't always produce fair outcomes. They argue that essential services such as healthcare, education, and infrastructure should be accessible to everyone rather than determined primarily by income. It's important to recognize that socialism exists on a spectrum. Some countries combine capitalism with extensive public services. Others have placed much more of the economy under state ownership. These are very different systems, even though both may be described as socialist in some way. A brief history. At the roots of socialism reach back to the Industrial Revolution in the late 18th and early 19th centuries. As factories expanded, many workers faced dangerous conditions, long hours, and very low wages. These conditions inspired philosophers and political thinkers to question whether the benefits of industrialization were being shared fairly. Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels became the most influential critics of capitalism, arguing that workers should eventually control the means of production. During the 20th century, socialism developed in different directions. The Soviet Union adopted a centrally planned economy. Meanwhile, many Western European democracies chose to keep market economies while expanding public health care, education, pensions, and worker protections. These paths produce very different outcomes. Different types of socialism. Not all socialism looks the same. Democratic socialism seeks greater public ownership while maintaining democratic political institutions. Social democracy keeps capitalist economy but uses taxes and regulation to fund extensive public services and reduce inequality. State socialism provides much of the economy under direct government ownership and planning. Market socialism attempts to combine competitive markets with public or worker ownership of businesses. Understanding these distinctions helps explain why countries often described as socialist can differ dramatically from one another. Goals and potential benefits. Supporters argue that socialist policies can reduce poverty and narrow income inequality. They also believe that universal health care and education improve opportunity by giving everyone access to essential services. Worker protections, paid leave, unemployment insurance, and retirement benefits are also commonly associated with socialist or social democratic policies. Many supporters believe these programs create stronger communities by reducing economic insecurity and providing a safety net during difficult times. Criticisms and challenges. Critics raise several concerns. First, expanding public programs generally requires higher taxes or greater government spending. Second, larger governments can sometimes become less efficient or more bureaucratic. Critics also argue that if governments control too much of the economy, innovation and entrepreneurship may suffer because competition and fair incentives are reduced. History also shows that some governments, identifying as socialist, become politically authoritarian, restricting civil liberties and concentrating power. It's important, however, to distinguish between economic policies and political systems. Different countries have combined socialist ideas with very different forms of government. Socialism around the world. Today, no major economy operates under a completely pure form of either capitalism or socialism. Countries such as Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Finland, Germany, and France combine market economies with extensive public services. Cuba has maintained a largely state-directed economy system for decades. China combines significant state ownership with market-based competition and private enterprise in many sectors. Each country has developed its own unique balance between markets and government. Common misconceptions. One common misconception is that socialism means government owns everything. In reality, many socialist proposals involve public ownership only in specific sectors. Another misconception is that every government welfare program is socialism. Many countries considered capitalist provide public education, unemployment insurance, pensions, and health care. Finally, it is incorrect to assume that every country labeled socialist follows the same model. Political institutions, economic policies, and historical experiences vary considerably. Socialism versus capitalism. Capitalism emphasizes private ownership, market competition, and profit incentives. Socialism generally places greater emphasis on equality, public responsibility, and collective provision of important services. In practice, most countries use a mixture of both approaches. Governments regulate markets, provide public services, protect property rights, and allow private businesses to compete. The real debate is often where the balance should be rather than choosing one system exclusively. Conclusion. Socialism has influenced politics, economics, and public policy for more than 2 centuries. Its supporters argue that it promotes fairness, opportunity, and economic security. Its critics warn that excessive government involvement can reduce efficiency, innovation, and individual freedom. Understanding socialism means looking beyond slogans and examining how different ideas have worked in different places and under different circumstances. Thank you again for watching. If you found this presentation helpful, please consider subscribing for more balanced explanations of history, economics, and public policy, as well as other things. We'd like to leave you with one question. What balance between markets, government, and individual freedom do you think creates the strongest and most prosperous society, and why? Please leave any comments in the box below. We look forward to your input. Thank you.